He looked at me like I was dirt. Right there, under the cold white lights of the bank lobby, my own brother, in his pressed suit and polished smile, raised his voice just loud enough for everyone to hear. "We don't serve beggars here." A few chuckles rippled through the line behind me. The marble floor felt like it swallowed my dignity whole. I stood there holding a withdrawal slip. $200. That's all I needed. Just $200. He leaned across the counter, that smug grin plastered on his face. "Maybe next time try not overdrawing your account, little sis. My name is Hannah Carter. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever been humiliated by someone who used to protect you?" I remember staring at him, my throat burning with all the words I couldn't say. We grew up with nothing. 2 kids in a leaky trailer splitting 1 can of soup between us. And now he wore a gold watch that cost more than my car. The customers whispered. I saw the teller next to him smirk. And that's when I decided, if he wanted to play this game in public, I'd finish it in public too. I didn't storm out. I didn't cry. I just smiled. And quietly said, "Give me a few minutes." He laughed, thinking I was bluffing. But when I stepped into my car and pulled up my investment app, the one I'd built from 5 years of quiet work and luck, I smiled again. He never knew I'd been one of the earliest backers of a startup that just went public that morning. My shares had sold automatically, for over $2 billion. So I walked back inside. Calm. Silent. And when his voice dripped with mockery again, "Back so soon?" I slid a check across the counter. "I'd like to make a withdrawal," I said. "For $2 billion. His laughter died halfway through the word billion. The air shifted. The whispers stopped. And suddenly the bank wasn't laughing anymore. In that moment the roles reversed. The beggar became the billionaire. And my brother's smirk turned to silence. The room went still. It was like someone had hit pause on reality. Even the hum of the air conditioner felt louder than the people around me. My brother's smile cracked. "You're joking." I met his eyes. Calm. Steady. The same way he used to look at me when we were kids, except this time I was the one holding power. "You can call the regional director," I said softly. "He'll confirm the wire. It cleared an hour ago." He blinked. His hand trembled as he picked up the phone. I watched him press the buttons, his voice lowering to a nervous whisper, the first time I'd heard fear in it. The teller stopped counting bills. The security guard turned his head. A woman in line behind me gasped when she heard $2 billion. The sound spread like static, people murmuring, eyes darting between me and him. And for the first time my brother, Mr. Perfect Manager, the man who used to mock my failed ventures, looked small. He covered the receiver and hissed, "What is this, Hannah? Some prank?" "No prank," I said. "Just a reminder that life has a funny way of flipping the script." The regional director picked up. I could hear his muffled voice on the other end, sharp, urgent. Then silence. My brother's jaw tightened. He hung up slowly. "Wait right here," he muttered, disappearing into the back office. The moment the glass door closed behind him, I exhaled, years of swallowed shame leaving my lungs all at once. Do you know that feeling when someone finally tastes their own medicine? It's not joy. It's peace. A few minutes later he re-emerged, pale, sweating, holding a form. "Miss Carter," he said, voice trembling. "Corporate has confirmed your funds. Would you like to proceed with your withdrawal?" I nodded. "Yes. But I'll need a conference room, privacy for the transaction." He swallowed. "Of course." I could see the confusion, the disbelief, the quiet collapse of a man who'd built his pride on my failures. As he led me into the glass-walled meeting room, people stared. The whispers grew louder. "She's his sister? $2 billion. No way." The door clicked shut. He turned to me, trying to find his professional tone again. "Look, Hannah. I didn't mean to." I cut him off with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "You meant every word. That's the thing about humiliation, Daniel. It always reveals the truth." He looked down, shame flickering through his posture. And as I sat there, pen in hand, I realized, this wasn't about the money. It was about balance. Because when someone calls you a beggar, you don't prove them wrong by shouting. You let silence and success do the talking. He tried to make it look professional. That's what made it worse. The next morning I got an email from the bank. A formal apology meeting had been scheduled. 9 a.m. sharp. Executive conference room. The sender? Daniel Carter, branch manager. My brother. For a few seconds I almost laughed. The same man who told me, "We don't serve beggars here," was now asking me to discuss reputational reconciliation. Reputation. That's all he cared about. Not remorse. Not family. When I walked in, the glass walls reflected everything. The tension, the fear, the desperate attempt to control a narrative that had already spun away. There were 4 people at the table. Daniel, the regional director, and 2 executives from corporate. Everyone stood when I entered. The same way they didn't yesterday. Daniel's voice cracked a little. "Hannah, thank you for coming. I want to personally apologize for what happened yesterday. My behavior was unprofessional." I interrupted softly. "Cruel? Or just honest?" His jaw clenched. "Out of line." I took a seat. "Foley. That's a good start." The regional director, a gray-haired man with kind eyes, looked at me carefully. "Miss Carter, we take such incidents seriously. We want to make this right." I folded my hands. "Oh, I'm sure you do. Especially now that your bank's biggest account belongs to the woman your manager mocked." Daniel flinched. The silence that followed felt almost sacred. It was the sound of power shifting, not through anger but through grace. I leaned forward. "You know, Daniel, I don't need your apology. I needed it years ago. When Mom died and you called me a failure for missing the funeral because I couldn't afford the flight. I needed it when you told your friends I was still chasing pipe dreams." His eyes glistened. "Hannah, please." "No," I said gently. "Let me finish. You called me a beggar, Daniel. But the truth is I begged, for family, for support, for belief. You just never gave it." No one moved. Even the air seemed to stand still. Then I smiled faintly. "But you know what's funny about life? The ones you look down on are the ones who rise higher than you ever imagined." I stood, pulling a folded piece of paper from my purse. "I'm closing my accounts," I said. "All of them. I'll move my funds to a smaller, community bank. Somewhere people are treated like humans, not headlines." Daniel's voice broke. "Hannah, please don't. This will destroy me." I met his gaze, the same eyes that once looked down on me now pleading. "You destroyed yourself," I said quietly. "I'm just walking away." And when I walked out of that room, everyone stayed seated. Because sometimes silence is the standing ovation. By noon I was trending. It started with a single phone clip. A shaky 15-second video from someone in line that day at the bank. It showed me standing there holding that withdrawal slip. It caught his smirk. Caught his words. "We don't serve beggars here." And it caught the moment I said, calm as glass, "Then I'd like to withdraw $2 billion. The caption beneath the post read, "When the beggar owns more than the bank." It spread like wildfire. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube Shorts, everywhere. Millions of views. Tens of thousands of comments. That composure. Iconic. Her brother's career just evaporated in 4K. Queen behavior. Pure silence, pure power. I didn't even post it myself. I didn't have to. By the time I woke up the next morning, my phone had over 900 missed notifications. News outlets were calling me. Podcasters wanted interviews. And the bank, Daniel's bank, had gone into full crisis mode. They issued a press statement. "We are aware of an unfortunate interaction between an employee and a client." They didn't use his name. They didn't need to. Everyone already knew. When I turned on the TV, there he was, my brother, walking briskly through the parking lot, chased by reporters. "Mr. Carter, did you call your sister a beggar? Do you regret your words?" He kept his head down. Didn't answer. Didn't look up. I didn't feel joy watching it. Just stillness. The kind that comes after years of chaos. Later that afternoon I got a text from him. It was short. "I'm sorry. Please. I didn't know it'd blow up like this. They're talking suspension. Maybe worse. Can we meet?" I read it twice. No apology for the years before that day. No mention of the things that cut deeper than public shame. Just panic. Self-preservation dressed as regret. I set the phone down, took a deep breath, and typed back 3 words. Let's meet tomorrow. But I already knew it wouldn't be the reunion he expected. Because sometimes poetic justice needs one final act. One final scene. And when that curtain falls, the applause isn't for revenge. It's for release. The diner was almost empty when I walked in. A soft hum of old jazz played from a corner speaker, and the smell of burnt coffee lingered in the air. Daniel sat in a booth near the window. No suit this time, no polished charm, just a man who looked like life had finally caught up to him. His eyes lifted when he saw me. He looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe because for the first time he wasn't standing above me. "Hannah," he said quietly, voice heavy. "Thank you for coming." I slid into the booth across from him. The vinyl squeaked. Neither of us spoke for a while. He finally broke the silence. "I lost my job. They suspended me the same day the video went viral. Said it was a breach of ethics. My name's everywhere. I can't even walk into a store without someone filming me." I watched him stir his untouched coffee. His hands shook. And for a moment, just a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. "You did that to yourself, Daniel," I said softly. He nodded, swallowing hard. "I know. I was arrogant. I thought success made me untouchable. I thought you'd never catch up." I looked out the window, the gray sky reflecting back the kind of emptiness I used to live in. "You didn't just look down on me," I said. "You enjoyed it. Every time I failed, you smiled like it proved you were right." He looked up, eyes glassy. "I was jealous, Hannah. You always had this light, even when you had nothing. I hated that about you." I blinked. "You hated me for hope?" He didn't answer. He just nodded, ashamed. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us was thick, not with anger anymore, but with years of misunderstanding and silence. Then I said quietly, "Do you remember when Mom used to tell us that the real test of love isn't how we treat people when they're strong, but when they're small?" He nodded. His voice cracked. "I forgot that." I exhaled slowly. "I didn't." He reached across the table, eyes desperate. "I can't fix what I did. But I don't want to lose you too." I stared at his hand, the same hand that once pushed me away, and for the first time I didn't feel anger. Just exhaustion. "You already lost me," I whispered. "But maybe someday we'll find each other again, just not through pity or pride." I stood up, dropped a 20 on the table for the coffee neither of us drank, and turned to leave. "Hannah," he said softly, voice trembling. "What are you going to do now?" I looked back at him, one last time. "I'm going to do what you never did, Daniel." "What's that?" "Build something without tearing anyone down." Then I walked out. Behind me I heard the faint sound of him crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just broken. And as I stepped into the sunlight I realized that was his real punishment. Not losing his job, but losing his mask. The diner was almost empty when I walked in. A soft hum of old jazz played from a corner speaker, and the smell of burnt coffee lingered in the air. Daniel sat in a booth near the window. No suit this time, no polished charm. Just a man who looked like life had finally caught up to him. His eyes lifted when he saw me. He looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe because for the first time he wasn't standing above me. "Hannah," he said quietly, voice heavy. "Thank you for coming." I slid into the booth across from him. The vinyl squeaked. Neither of us spoke for a while. He finally broke the silence. "I lost my job. They suspended me the same day the video went viral. Said it was a breach of ethics. My name's everywhere. I can't even walk into a store without someone filming me." I watched him stir his untouched coffee. His hands shook. And for a moment, just a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. "You did that to yourself, Daniel," I said softly. He nodded, swallowing hard. "I know. I was arrogant. I thought success made me untouchable. I thought you'd never catch up." I looked out the window, the gray sky reflecting back the kind of emptiness I used to live in. "You didn't just look down on me," I said. "You enjoyed it. Every time I failed, you smiled like it proved you were right. He looked up, eyes glassy. I was jealous, Hannah. You always had this light, even when you had nothing. I hated that about you. I blinked. You hated me for hope? He didn't answer. He just nodded, ashamed. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us was thick, not with anger anymore, but with years of misunderstanding and silence. Then I said quietly, "Do you remember when Mom used to tell us that the real test of love isn't how we treat people when they're strong, but when they're small?" He nodded. His voice cracked. I forgot that. I exhaled slowly. I didn't. He reached across the table, eyes desperate. I can't fix what I did. But I don't want to lose you too. I stared at his hand, the same hand that once pushed me away, and for the first time I didn't feel anger. Just exhaustion. You already lost me, I whispered. But maybe someday we'll find each other again, just not through pity or pride. I stood up, dropped a 20 on the table for the coffee neither of us drank, and turned to leave. Hannah, he said softly, voice trembling. What are you going to do now? I looked back at him, one last time. I'm going to do what you never did, Daniel. What's that? Build something without tearing anyone down. Then I walked out. Behind me I heard the faint sound of him crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just broken. And as I stepped into the sunlight I realized that was his real punishment. Not losing his job, but losing his mask. The studio lights were softer than I expected. Warm, golden, almost kind. I sat in the chair opposite the host, a calm woman with sympathetic eyes. The camera light blinked red. The world was watching. Today, the host began, we're speaking with Hannah Carter, the woman behind the viral clip that took the internet by storm. Hannah, thank you for being here. I smiled gently. Thank you for having me. The audience was quiet, respectful, curious. You could feel the weight of the story hanging in the air. Can you tell us, she asked, what really happened that day at the bank? I took a breath. What happened was simple. My brother humiliated me. In front of strangers. For asking to withdraw $200. He called me a beggar. A soft gasp rippled through the room. I continued, voice steady. What people saw in that video was 10 seconds of my life. But behind it was 10 years of being told I wasn't enough. By someone who was supposed to love me. The host leaned forward. So, when you revealed you were worth $2 billion, was that revenge? I smiled faintly. No. It was truth. Revenge would have been destroying him. But I didn't need to. Life already did that. All I did was show up with grace. A hush fell over the audience. The host nodded slowly. That's powerful. I looked straight into the camera. People think revenge means fire. But sometimes it's ice. So, quiet. You just let the world see who they really are. The host tilted her head. And your brother? Have you spoken since? I hesitated. He reached out. He's hurting. I don't hate him. But forgiveness isn't always an invitation back into your life. Sometimes it's just closing a door peacefully. The audience clapped softly, not the loud, celebratory kind, but the kind that comes from understanding. The host smiled. You've inspired millions, Hannah. What do you want people to take away from your story? I paused, feeling the lump in my throat. That your worth doesn't come from who validates you. It comes from who you choose to become when no one believes in you. She nodded, eyes glistening. Beautifully said. The red light blinked off. The cameras cut. But the silence afterward, it was louder than applause. As I knew, somewhere out there Daniel was watching. And for the first time I hoped he didn't see shame in it. I hoped he saw redemption. As I walked out of the studio my phone buzzed with a single new message. From him. You spoke beautifully today. I'm proud of you. I didn't reply. Some stories don't need sequels. But for the first time I didn't feel anger when I read his words. It just felt free. It arrived on a quiet Sunday morning. No cameras. No noise. Just sunlight spilling across my doorstep and a plain white envelope with my name written in handwriting I hadn't seen in years. Daniel Carter. No return address. No title. Just that name. I stood there for a while holding it, feeling the weight of something that wasn't money, wasn't guilt, but maybe something close to grace. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. Folded twice. The ink had bled slightly like he'd cried while writing. Hannah, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect a response. But I needed you to know that I finally understand what I destroyed. It wasn't about the bank or the money or that stupid moment that went viral. It was about the years I made you feel small so I could feel tall. I wore my success like armor, but underneath I was terrified that you'd surpass me. And you did, not with money but with peace. You've become everything I couldn't be, strong without cruelty, successful without ego. I thought I was teaching you to be tough. But you were teaching me what it means to be kind. I'm leaving the city. Going somewhere quiet. I need to start over, without the noise, without the lies. I don't know if you'll ever talk to me again, but I'll carry your silence like a mirror. It reflects who I could have been if I hadn't broken us. Daniel. By the time I reached the end, the words blurred. Not because they hurt, but because they healed. I sat down on the porch, letter trembling in my hands. And for the first time since that day in the bank, I let myself cry. Not tears of anger. Not satisfaction. Just release. The kind that washes the story clean. Later, I framed the letter, not as a reminder of pain but of transformation. It sat beside my mother's photo, her soft smile forever watching over us both. And maybe, in some strange way, she knew this is how it would end, not with revenge but with recognition. I didn't reply to him. I didn't need to. Some apologies aren't meant to be answered. They're meant to be felt. And as I watched the evening sun dip behind the horizon, I whispered, more to the wind than to anyone, "We're okay now, Daniel. We're finally okay." The world moved on. But somewhere in that stillness I felt something close, something final. The quiet piece of a story that had finished telling itself.